August 12, 2021. Gabby Petito and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, are pulled over by police near Arches National Park in Utah. A witness had reported seeing Brian hit Gabby. When officers arrive, they find Gabby crying anxiously. No charges are filed, however, the couple is separated for the night. Just weeks later, Gabby Petito is reported missing.
Search for Gabby Petito. Her fiancé is now missing too. His family in Florida tells police they haven't seen Brian Laundrie since Tuesday.
Search continues for 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who set out on a road trip with her boyfriend in early July and vanished without a trace.
Her boyfriend Brian refuses to cooperate with authorities, and then he goes missing too. This is the story of how a cross-country road trip turned into a national mystery and a tragic search for the truth. In June of 2021, Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old from Blue Point, New York, and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie of Northport, Florida, began their cross-country road trip in their Ford Transit van that they converted into a mobile home. Inside, it held a bed, cooking equipment, and essentials for months of travel across America. The couple had been dating for 2.5 years and had recently gotten engaged.
And we've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far.
Passionate about travel and nature, Gabby always dreamed of living a minimalist lifestyle on the road, a dream she hoped to document and share with the world on her YouTube channel, Nomadic Static. By mid-August, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were traveling through Utah, exploring the red rock landscapes around Arches and Canyonlands National Parks.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with the white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman, about 5'6" beard.
At approximately 4:30 p.m. on August 12th, the Moab City Police Department received a 911 call from a witness who reported seeing a male, later identified as Brian Laundrie, slapping a female in front of a grocery store. According to the caller, the two had a physical altercation and were fighting over a phone. The witness stated that Brian struck Gabby and attempted to prevent her from entering the van before driving off. The police identified the van near the entrance to Arches National Park and pulled them over. Bodycam footage showed a distraught Gabby Petito crying uncontrollably as she spoke with officers. Her face appeared flushed, and she showed signs of emotional distress. She told police that her and her boyfriend had been arguing that morning and that she suffers from anxiety. Gabby admitted she struck Brian first during the argument, fearing he would leave her on the road by herself.
We had been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before.
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because you're OCD?
Told me I need to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time, and he really stresses me out.
When questioned by the police, Brian said Gabby became upset and tried to grab the steering wheel as he drove. Officers noticed scratches on Brian's face and arm and visible marks on Gabby's cheek and arm. Although Utah state law mandates an arrest or citation in domestic violence cases when injuries are visible, the responding officers decided that the situation did not warrant charges. No charges are filed, however, the couple is separated for the night. Brian is taken to a nearby hotel, and Gabby keeps the van. On August 27th, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were seen at a restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. According to witnesses, Brian appeared agitated and aggressive. He was involved in a heated verbal altercation with restaurant staff. He allegedly stormed in and out of the restaurant multiple times, visibly upset and yelling at the staff over a perceived issue with the bill or service. Gabby, by contrast, appeared visibly embarrassed and anxious. She apologized to the staff for Brian's behavior, trying to de-escalate the situation. In the early hours of September 1st, Brian Laundrie returned to his family's home in Northport, Florida, driving the Ford Transit van by himself. By September 11th, after having not heard from Gabby for nearly 2 weeks, Gabby's mother contacted the Suffolk County Police Department in Long Island, New York, to officially report her daughter missing. The Suffolk County Police immediately reached out to their counterparts in Northport, Florida.
Northport Police Department. Yes. How you doing, sir? I apologize for bothering you. I have the detective on the phone.
I'm not talking to anybody.
You don't want to talk to us?
No.
Okay, she's on the phone. You don't want to talk to her now?
No.
Okay, when was the last time that you saw Brian and Gabriel?
Well, Brian is here.
Brian is here?
Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say.
Northport police went to the Laundrie home that same day. However, Brian's father informed the police that their lawyer did not want them speaking to the police. Brian himself never stepped outside. Officers saw the van parked in the driveway and obtained a search warrant and seized the van that same day. Inside the van, police found Gabby's personal belongings, including a hard drive, clothing, and other items indicating she had not willingly abandoned it. Over the next few days, Brian Laundrie's family remained silent during the investigation, both with the police and Gabby's family. Brian Laundrie's family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, released a statement announcing, "On the advice of counsel, the Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment." As public concern mounted and the media spotlight intensified, Northport police formally named Brian Laundrie a person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito. This decision was driven by multiple red flags. He had returned home alone in Gabby's van on September 1st. He had not reported her missing. He refused to speak with law enforcement or Gabby's family. He immediately got an attorney and was protected by his parents from any questioning. By this point, the case had exploded all over the news and on social media. Hashtags like "Find Gabby" and "Justice for Gabby" were trending. Protesters began gathering outside the Laundrie family home, holding signs, chanting for justice, and demanding answers. News crews camped out on the lawn, broadcasting live as the case became a national obsession. On September 17th, just 2 days after Brian Laundrie was named a person of interest, and 16 days after returning home alone, Brian Laundrie's parents called police to report their son missing. According to the Laundries, they had not seen Brian since Tuesday, September 14th. They claimed he had left the family home with a backpack but no phone, saying he was going for a hike in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, Florida. The family did not explain why they waited 3 full days to report him missing. This revelation shocked both the public and law enforcement, who had been under the impression that Brian was still at home, being monitored by investigators as a person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito. Almost immediately, local police, the FBI, and search and rescue teams began scouring the Carlton Reserve, deploying drones, dogs, dive teams, and thermal imaging technology. The search would go on for over a month, drawing massive media coverage and raising questions about whether Brian had escaped, was hiding, or had taken his own life. Then on September 19th, 8 days into the investigation, the police issued a statement saying, "Earlier today, human remains were discovered consistent with the description of Gabrielle Gabby Petito." Although it had not yet been confirmed that the body discovered was indeed Gabby, there were many indicators that led authorities to believe it was. The remains were discovered in a secluded campsite just east of Grand Teton National Park, near where Gabby had last told her family she and Brian were headed. The FBI credited a key tip that helped focus their search, a video posted by a travel blogger couple, Jen and Kyle Bethune, who were reviewing their dashcam footage when they spotted the Petito van parked off a dirt road on August 27th, the same day of the reported restaurant incident. Across the country, a wave of grief washed over those who had followed Gabby's story. Memorials appeared outside the Laundrie home, in New York and in Grand Teton. Flowers, candles, and chalk messages lined curbs and trees. What began as a personal tragedy had now become a national mourning. 2 days after human remains were discovered, the FBI Denver field office released a short but definitive statement. Teton County Coroner Dr. Brent Blue confirmed the remains found on September 19, 2021 are those of Gabrielle Venora Petito, born March 19, 1999. The initial determination of the manner of death was homicide, but the cause of death was still pending final autopsy results. The case had now transitioned from a missing person search to a homicide investigation and turned Brian Laundrie into the prime suspect in a national criminal case, even though no charges had yet been filed. Federal and local agencies ramped up the search for Brian Laundrie, who had been missing for nearly a week. The discovery of Gabby's body drastically escalated the urgency and public stakes of finding him. The FBI also executed a search warrant at the Laundrie family home the day before, on September 20th, seizing items such as electronics, hard drives, and Brian's personal belongings. The home was declared a crime scene.
We do begin this evening with news just coming in moments ago from the FBI. They now say the human remains found in a Florida nature reserve are those of Brian Laundrie.
On October 20th, the FBI confirmed that human remains, along with a backpack, a dry bag, and a notebook believed to belong to Brian Laundrie, had been found in an environmental park that borders the Carlton Reserve, where Brian Laundrie had gone hiking before disappearing.
The two went on a cross-country trip together to visit national parks out west, but he came home without Petito on September 1st. Jonathan Seri is in Northport, Florida, with the latest.
That morning, Chris and Roberta Laundrie joined law enforcement during a scheduled search of an area that had previously been inaccessible due to flooding. Only recently had water levels dropped enough to allow thorough searching. Shortly after the search began, Chris Laundrie reportedly located a white dry bag off a trail. Law enforcement then found Brian's backpack and a notebook nearby. Not far from those personal items, skeletal remains were discovered. Later that day, FBI Special Agent in Charge Michael McPherson held a brief press conference. Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie. These items were found in an area that, up until recently, had been underwater. Dental records confirmed that the skeletal remains were those of Brian Laundrie. The cause of death would later be determined as a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. A revolver was also found near the remains, though that detail wasn't made public until weeks later. Approximately 3 months later, on January 21st, 2022, the FBI officially closed its investigation. In a formal statement released by the FBI Denver field office, investigators announced that Brian Laundrie had claimed responsibility for Gabby's death in a written confession found in the notebook recovered alongside his remains in the Carlton Reserve. Investigators found a note, written in Brian's handwriting, in which he took full responsibility for Gabby's death. In the notebook, he wrote, "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted, but I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided, took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her." He also wrote, "I am sorry for everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I know adored by many. I'm so very sorry to her family, because I love them. And please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and a daughter, the most wonderful girl in the world. I'm sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy.